stopped again, so I guess we.
Yeah,
Oh.
no. Okay. Thank you. October 24th, 2023 is our third time starting the video. And we just did the pledge to the UNI flag. Tonight it is session 5. We'll be reading lesson 4, titled Elocution, and we'll go over the questions from lesson 3. One of the things I added in here was a slight review. So I'll just throw out some questions. Let me see, that's lesson 1. No, yeah. Let me ask a couple questions. First question, when must we stop learning and stop reading? We're not going to go through all of these questions. From lesson 1.
Never.
What's that?
Never.
Never stop learning, never stop reading. Exactly. Number 2, what must be mastered in order to read intelligently? In order to read intelligently, what do we have to master? What do we have to master in order to read intelligently?
The language about the language of our own country.
Yes, the language that you speak. So if you speak Chinese or whatever, before you get into your books, you want to make sure you master. Well, not make sure, but in the process of reading your books, make sure you master your language. That is required for understanding to what you're reading. What does Garvey say is the value of knowledge?
It helps you to understand the past, the present, and the future.
Yes, it does, but that's not what I'm looking for. This is one of my Garvey quotes. What's the value of knowledge? Lesson 1. All right, I'm gonna have to get y'all the answer. 5 seconds. 4. 1. Value of knowledge is to use it. So we got to remember that. That comes with the responsibility of going through this course. You're going through this course is not just a check on your resume to say that you did it, but you are now held to the responsibility of the knowledge that you have. So there's no excuses to not organize and work to complete the aims and objects of the UNIA. What should we be doing in our spare time?
Reading.
Reading, yes. Garvey says always carry a book. So if you have some time to wait or sit down, you should be reading. So always reading. Okay. Anybody want to answer any of the other questions up here before we move on? Oh, I like this last one. What book does Garvey suggest us read a chapter of every day?
The Bible.
The Bible?
Yes.
I only see you, President John. I
I don't think anybody else has cameras up.
No, I'm saying I don't see the were you showing questions?
Oh, it wasn't sharing? Wow, thank you. Your screen is loading. Your screen is sharing. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
How does Garvey, no, we don't have to go through that one. What should be the dominant point of view in our search for knowledge and why? What should be the dominant point of view in our search for knowledge and why?
From the point of view of the African.
Yes. Yes. And do you remember why?
Because the white person is going to come from his point of view.
In a sense, yes. And our point of view is most important, to have our own perspective. Can't hear anything. See you fine, but can't hear anything. Are you saying yes? Oh, man. We got a special dignitary, Brother President Sean Williams, East Atlanta, but he's reviewing the course.
Greeting.
Greetings.
Question? Why does Garvey say that the black race has a special claim to Jesus and the cross? Probably should have been more specifically to the cross, but I think he does equate it with Jesus. Why do blacks have a special claim to the cross specifically?
Because a black person carried the cross for Jesus, for the black Jesus.
Jesus Christ had the blood of all races in his veins, and tracing the Jewish race back to Abraham and Moses, from which Jesus sprang through the line of Jesse. You will find Negro blood everywhere. Therefore, Jesus had mostly Negro blood in him. Is the first civilization was the Negroes, black people. Because he says, in fact, that the white man has borrowed his civilization from other peoples, and the first one was the Negro peoples. Oh, you speaking, President?
What question were you answering?
Huh?
What question were you
Special
answering?
claim to the to the cross.
To the cross, because of, you said the Nile, the civilization. Lady President, you're on mute if you're talking.
I was trying to get off mute. Oh, I'm sorry. What I go to?
She said about the line of Jesse.
Jesus Christ had the blood of all races in his veins.
Yes.
And tracing the Jewish race back to Abraham and to Moses, from which Jesus sprang through the line of Jesse. You will find Negro blood everywhere. Therefore, Jesus had mostly Negro blood in him. And then
Absolutely.
I said the first civilization was the Negroes, black people.
Yes, that would be more so in line with question 17. What argument does Garvey provide that the black race is the oldest race? Wait. What is a civilization? No, it was 19. According to Garvey, where the civilization began, with who? The answer I was looking for in 18 is Simon the Cyrenian. It is widely accepted that Simon Cyrenian helped Jesus carry the cross up to Calvary, and it's widely accepted that Simon the Cyrenian was a melanated brother. So that's where Garvey says that through Simon Cyrenian, we as melanated people, as Africans, we have a claim to the cross before anybody else. That's what Garvey was saying. Any other questions on lesson 1? First question of lesson 2, to lead, what must you be to your followers?
A step ahead.
Step ahead.
Superior in terms of being a step ahead.
Superior, yes. Correct. But yeah, step ahead, superior. And again, this is one of the first things Garvey says in this lesson, but right after he lays a foundation in lesson 1, intelligence, understanding universal knowledge, and how to get it. So that is where we pull any level of being ahead. It should be intellectually first. What does Garvey say about your heart and your head? I gotta master this, the answer to this too.
that your heart and your head has to be in it. For you to be true. If your heart's not and your head's not in it, people can detect it.
Says your heart and your head must work together. If your no, I always speak out from your head and from your heart. If your heart is not in it, it is a lie. If your head is in it, if your head is not in it, it is pure sentiment. Your heart and your head must work together. And
Yes.
people can always observe and can tell when you're sincere.
Yes.
That is when you speak from your heart and your head.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Lady President. Perfect explanation. You know, and we've talked about it in detail last week. Your heart is your emotions, your feelings. You want to do it, but in your head is actually knowing how to do it. And we have a lot of people that may have one of those aspects, but we have very few people in our community that have both and carry both with a sense of morality. So again, with lesson one, this is lesson two. Very fundamental, very foundational. But as you know, we take on this criteria of leadership. We have to understand what that really means, and we have to be true to that commitment. So when we speak, first Garvey says, you know, don't speak about things that you don't know, but he also says we should be studying and learning constantly. So if it's something that we don't know about 5 years ago, you know, 5 years past, and we should know something at that point. So constantly learning, constantly reading, never stopping learning, never stopping reading. We should be always developing and always have something to say. That's what Garvey says also in lesson two. But specifically, when we do have something to say, we need to have both our head. We need to know what we're talking about, be conscious of what we're talking about, be aware of what we're talking about, have details, have a level of experience, hopefully, but also our heart. We should be passionate about what we're talking about. You know, we shouldn't just be talking about charity from a you know, to-do list perspective. Okay, we got to do this and we got to do this and we got to do this, but there's no, you know, and that's purely intellectual, you know, but there's no passion for what we're doing. And at the same time, we shouldn't be doing things with pure passion because it's something that we want to do. We have to be logical and rational about the things that we're doing and apply both to everything that we're doing. So head and your heart, very critical, very fundamental. Any questions, comments? All right. When Garvey says a leader should be make an effort to be known in his community, what people were he talking about? What people was Garvey talking about? A leader must be known in their community. Who must we be known by? Who must we know?
Garvey said, a leader should always make an effort to be known in his community. He must acquaint himself with everything that is happening. He must know the governor of the state or country, the secretary of his state or his colonial secretary. He must know the mayor of the city and all members of the legislature. He must know the bishops of his city, the administrative heads of all government departments, all the preachers and doctors and lawyers and prominent businessmen. And don't be seen with communists too often.
Got you. So to remember the answer to this one, we should be thinking about the quote that Garvey made. Where's the black man's kings and queens? Where's his army, his navy, and his men and women of big affairs? We should know the men and women of big affairs in our community, whether they're pastors, businessmen, politicians, doctors, lawyers. We should know who these individuals are, and they should know who we are. Questions, comments before we move forward? Lady President said that we should not be seen with communists. She answered that one. Let's just end with this one, number 10. What is the idea of the UNIA? What is the idea of the UNIA according to lesson 2 of Course of African Philosophy?
The idea of the UNIA is to unite into one race, all the shades of color, and build up a standard race.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So we don't do colorism. From the lightest of light Africans to the darkest of dark Africans, we are all one people. So, all right, we got through lesson 2, and I want y'all to keep, I'm going to start having this graph over here moving forward, but this is how we, yes.
Sorry, we only see you again.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry.
They said my internet is unstable.
There it goes.
So we read what is the idea of the UNIA. I was talking about we don't do colorism or divide by colors. This graph here, I want y'all to start to internalize the responsibilities of this course and as we go through this course. So we need to master the introduction before we go anywhere. We have to know why this text is important. We need to master or do our best, because I think lesson 1 is a lifelong journey, obviously, but we should take that serious. Garvey says, at least read a chapter of the Bible every day. I would add, the Quran. But he also, mentions several publications, whether they're annual, semi-annual, quarterly, monthly, or weekly. Newspapers, but now we have social media, but you want to make sure you're getting good, reputable sources with your information. But lesson 1, constantly learning. Lesson 2, I would put that in the same realm, constantly learning, but no excuses as to what it takes and what's expected from a position of leadership, and setting the foundation of what you're getting into. So before we, waste our time and get to lesson 20 and say, what, leadership is not for me, let's just go through these principles and expectations right up front and have a level of understanding and agreement. So that's lesson 2. Let me see. I think I got some questions here. Darn. Oh, these are some questions I forgot to. It didn't make it for some reason during my transfer and all of these different PowerPoints I've had to make. But some of the questions from lesson 2, it's only a couple really that we missed. I think it may be only one. What must Negro parents teach their children? And the answer is obviously Negro history, Negro pride, and self-respect. Counter the education of white superiority. God is the spirit of universal intelligence. Page 23. So that was something that I missed when we went over the questions. What must the leader tell people in regards to the power to rise? Don't worry about that. What decision in regards to relationships is unpardonable sin? We talked about that for a rich Negro to marry a poor white. What does Garvey say in regards to allowing others to preside over our affairs? Never allow any race. Their interests as a race can never be yours. That's page 26. And we talked about Jews as well. Let me see. Another brief review of the previous lessons. So introduction. Lady President, well, you gonna help with the main reading? Sister Diane, could you read this for me, please?
Sure. Read what's on the screen now.
What's that? You can't see it?
No, I can see it. Do you want me to read what's on there now? course written?
1 through 4.
Okay, sure. Review of introduction. What is the course? Number 1, course written by Marcus Garvey, edited by Tony Martin, and approved by Charles L. James.
1 second. Did everybody understand what that is and what each individual's role was in the creation of this text? Most of the answers on the front of the book and the side of the book.
Is there any way you can enlarge your screen there?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna be able to keep it like that when we go over the questions, but for now I can. But again, does everyone know the importance of these 3 men in regards to this course and what their role was in the creation of this course? Okay, I'm gonna have to give the answer. I'm disappointed. I'm gonna tell y'all. This is the very first question of the introduction, or I think it was the foreword. Sister Diane, you want to give it a shot?
Well, it was in terms of Marcus Garvey, it was the first book that he actually was actually written by him. And
Yes, Marcus Garvey was the author. What did Tony Martin do?
He edited.
I think I heard you say it again. Turn him up.
He edited the text here.
I think you said edited, right?
Right. I'm sorry.
Yes. So authored by Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey, edited by Dr. Tony Martin. And what was Charles L. James's role in the creation of this course for us in our time?
He approved it.
Yes, he approved it. He 5th President General. He was President General at the time when this text was compiled. He approved Dr. Tony Martin to be the official historian of the UNIA, and this was part of the Marcus Garvey Library that they put together. But as Sister Diane also said, this was the closest thing to a book that Marcus Garvey himself ever wrote. All right, so keep that in mind. That's important. It is important. That detail may not be expected for the exam, but I do, out of respect for me, I want y'all to understand and remember their roles. Yeah, it said edited by Tony Martin. That's crazy. Y'all over here and approved by Charles L. James.
Not you.
That's crazy. And y'all over here struggling. All right. But I guess it makes it confusing. Like, what is he asking for if he got the answers right here? The course was created. Oh, Sister Diane, you have the floor. I'm sorry.
okay, so number 2 says the course was created for the leadership of the UNIA to carry on the work of the UNIA after Garvey's death. Number 3.
We clear on that? Everybody clear on that? Everybody understand that? That's not my opinion. This is what the text says.
I'm moving around too, President Johnson. I don't want you to think I'm not participating. I'm just multitasking.
You good. Go ahead, Sister Diane.
And number 3, the course is described as it represents, as it were, the last political will and testament of a man who stands without equal in the history of the worldwide mobilization of African people, a distillation of a lifetime of organizational experience.
Okay. And number 4?
I have given them all I know. I am trying to make everyone a Marcus Garvey personified.
Okay. Thank you, Sister Diane. Bullet points from lesson 1, Sister Diane, please.
So lesson 1, never stop learning. Reading at least 4 hours a day. In the evening, verify what you read with facts. Understand the history of the Negro race and other races. Ethnology.
Yes, ma'am.
Find the great history of the Negro race in the Bible in ancient Africa. Study, remember, and proclaim the great history of the Negro race.
Okay. Give me a second. Yeah, we could do this one too. All right, and lesson 2. Hold on. My screen is white. Before we get to lesson 2, as we get to lesson 2, one thing I want y'all to understand. What in the world is going on? All right, we might not be able to zoom in no more. Oh, okay, I'm hitting the wrong button. Lineage of the course, and we're gonna get to lesson 2. I know, bear with me tonight. We're going over quite a bit, and the review takes some time. Lineage of the course. Course was taught by Marcus Garvey, obviously, first President General of UNIA. And we learned through the text in 1937, he taught 11 individuals. 10 individuals were certified as graduates of the course of African philosophy. 3 of those individuals went on to become President Generals, James R. Stewart, Thomas W. Harvey, and Charles L. James. From our research and our studies, and from what I've been taught, Senghor Baye, who was the 10th President General of the UNIA, took the course under Charles L. James and Thomas W. Harvey, as we believe sometime in the 70s, as we understand. In 2009, Senghor Baye taught the course to Atlanta Division 421, including President Ross Marvin, Sister Tania, and Brother Eric. Okay, what's the last thing y'all heard?
2009, I think.
Okay. In 2009, Division 421 was started, and PG Senghor taught the Atlanta Division, including Ross Marvin, Sister Tania, and Brother Eric Majette were all graduates of the course in 2009. 2019, President Ross taught the course to Division 421, not for the first time, but that was the course in which I completed the course of African philosophy. And as those individuals are able to complete this course this year, they will become, you will become part of this lineage that goes back to the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. So that's one of the things that we not necessarily stress. I mean, it's kind of ritualistic. But it's about, Garvey said to Charles L. James, you don't know, and I know you don't know because I haven't taught you. And that's really kind of how we carry the course of African philosophy. Unless you could trace your lineage back to Garvey, your certification privileges are questionable. And when Charles L. James says this course is ours, you have to look at, he had just mentioned that he was the last surviving graduate of the course. So I'm of the opinion that, this course belongs to those that have been certified through the process. But at any rate, Sister Diane, if you would please close out lesson 2 for us.
Okay. What do you mean close it out?
Just finish this last slide. If you
I
can read
am
this last slide.
I'm not
Oh.
seeing it.
It's not showing. All right. This thing is resetting. We're having a rough night tonight.
Okay. To lead. Number 1.
Yes.
Yes, to lead, you must be superior to your followers in things they must follow you for. Number 2, characteristics of leadership personality: dignity, humble, proud, strong, gentleman, maturity, self-possessed, confident, self-reliant, not extravagant, serious.
1 second. And Garvey, I don't know what lesson it is, but Garvey has an entire lesson. I just found it when I opened the book. Personality, lesson 15. So keep that in mind. I like, one of the things I like about Garvey is he defines, he creates definitions for words. So we may have a concept of what personality or what diplomacy or what economy is, but Garvey gives you his definition of what those are. Sister Diane.
So number 3, your head and your heart must be in line. Number 4, you must know your topic must have a voice.
Now, 4 must be known.
I'm sorry. Must be known.
Yeah.
And you must have a voice. Number 5 is to unify the race. And number 6, self-reliance of race.
So these are some of the bullet points that I pulled out. Oh, shoot. Screen share stopped. Okay. Some of the bullet points that I pulled out for lesson 2. Lessons, the foreword, the preface, lesson 1, and lesson 2. Just some general summaries of the lessons. General, very, very general. Okay, we are way behind. It's gonna be a late night tonight. Let's try to run through this as quickly as we can. Number 1, and we're on lesson 3. We read lesson 3 last week, titled "The Aims and Objects of the UNIA." Number 1, what are the aims and objects of the UNIA? Well, that's the question. Let's just go through them. How many are there? How many aims and objects do we have?
11.
11, yes. So what's number 1?
Confraternity.
Confraternity. And what does that mean?
It means one for all and all for one.
Pretty much. Universal confraternity among the race is our first aim and objective. But organize. The greatest weapon used against the Negro is disorganization. So our first aim and objective should go at our biggest enemy. So we have to organize. Number 2, what's number 2? Second aim and objective of the UNIA.
To prompt the spirit of pride and love.
Prompt the spirit of pride and love. What does that mean?
It must be the mission of all Negroes to have pride in their race.
Yes, sir. God made us perfect. We have no reason to hate ourselves. In fact, we have a responsibility to love ourselves. So yes, and as Garveyites, we have to prompt and or promote the spirit of pride and love. So we have to put that out into our community and remind our individuals that they should be loving themselves and loving each other. Number 3.
Reclaim the fallen.
Reclaim the fallen. That can mean a lot. What does Garvey say about reclaiming the fallen? That can mean a lot.
When a member of your race is down, pick him up.
Absolutely. Now, what's number 4?
To administer, assist the needy.
Administer to and assist the needy. What's the difference between number 3 and number 4?
To reclaim the fallen, in my opinion, it's helping a brother to or brother or sister to get back to the place where they once were, or if a brother or sister is down on in their life, if they hit a down spot, lift them up. If they need something, help them out. And to help the needy is similar to help the downtrodden, I think.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't say that there's any particular right or wrong. These are very synonymous, these two aims and objectives. And I mean, they're charitable efforts at the end of the day. We talk about prison outreach. President Ross Marvin has mentioned victims of the Ma'afa could be considered reclaiming the fallen. Homosexuality could be considered reclaiming the fallen. And then assisting the needy has been what we commonly know as charity, food, shelter, clothing, resources, physical resources. But they're somewhat interchangeable, but charitable would be, that's what I take away from 3 and 4. I call those our charitable objectives. All right, number 5. What's number 5?
It says to assist in civilizing the backward tribes of Africa, but I feel like it should more read to help to develop the African continent, not necessarily that they're backward and civilized tribe. That's like more like a white person definition to me.
Talk to him. Let's go to our Constitution. Excellent observation. And anybody else have any comments on number 5 before we read a little bit of Constitution? So, excellent point, Sister Diane. And let me see, where is this jurisdiction? Aims and objects, Section 3 of the UNIA. This our Constitution was amended in 2005. The original Constitution up here in black stated, the objects of the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League shall be to establish a universal confraternity among the race, to promote the spirit of pride and love, to reclaim the fallen, to administer to and assist the needy, to assist in civilizing the backwoods tribes of Africa. When I first read that, I felt the exact same way that you did. In 2005, however, the work had already been done. The objects of the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League shall be to establish a universal confraternity among the race, to promote the spirit of pride and love, to reclaim the fallen, to administer to and assist the needy, and to assist in the development of independent African nations and communities.
I'm sorry, President, what happened? What was the observation?
I think he may have, he gets knocked off every now and then. I think that may have happened again.
What he said though?
My apologies.
There you go.
It looks like, yeah, I'm internet. I don't know what's going on. Like, I really don't get this. But they took out that whole section. I didn't know they took out the whole thing. I thought they just took out backwards. But that's crazy. Why would wait, yeah. To establish agencies. Yeah, wait a minute. Count that. Universal confraternity, promote spirit of pride and love, reclaim the fallen, administer to assist the needy, assist in the development of independent African nations and communities, to establish agencies in the principal countries and cities of the world, which is 6, to promote a conscientious spiritual worship, that's 7, among all Africans in the diaspora, to establish universities, colleges, academies, and schools for the racial education and culture of the people, that's 8, to conduct a worldwide commercial and industrial intercourse for the good of the people, that's 9, and then to work for better conditions in all African communities, that's 10. So we essentially took out one of our aims and objectives.
Or shortened it.
They took out an aim. We have 10 aims and objectives.
Which aim is taken out? I'm not buying my book or anything. I'm just
Civilize the backwoods tribes of Africa.
It sounds derogatory, kinda.
I'm gonna say, did they put that with to assist in the development of independent African nations and communities? Did they just like merge that with that, you think?
To assist in the development of independent
African nation and communities. That's what I think replaced that.
Well, no, this was already here in the original. This is number 6. The 6th aim, according to the message to the people, this is the 6th aim and objective of the UNIA. According to our recent amendments, now this is the 5th aim and objective.
Assist the backward tribes of Africa. That part, that's what I meant to say. Did they put that part in? Did they like join that with that part right there?
Where do you see that being joined? I see they took that out. Maybe in sentiment we can
say, sentiments.
But it's a difference between tribes and nations. Nations are established. Tribes are not established.
You want to pin that president and bring that up at the next HEC?
We could do that. But as of right now, we have the UNIA has 10 aims and objectives, and I did not realize that. According to this course, we have 11 aims and objectives. So what I wrote was civilize, help Africa, because I thought that's what we changed the Constitution to. It is written a little quote unquote derogatory in modern day, but we got to respect the text as we received it. So any questions or comments on aim and objective number 5, which has been removed from the Constitution? That made me want to read the whole the thing, because let me read what 5 says. Yeah, you can't take this out. Africa is the motherland of all Negroes. All Negroes were taken from Africa against their will and forced into slavery. Africa is the natural home of the race. One day, all Negroes hope to look to Africa as the land of their vine and fig tree. Therefore, it is necessary to help the tribes that live in Africa to advance to a higher state of civilization. The white man is not conscientiously doing it, although he professes to do so. This is only his method of deceiving the world. It is the Negro who must help the Negro. To help the African Negro to achieve civilization is to prepare him for his new place in a new African state that will be the home of all Negroes. Number 6, to assist in the development of independent Negro nations. The Negro should develop every section of the communities in which they live that is his, so that he may control that section or part of that community. He should segregate himself residentially in the community so as to have political power, economic power, and social power in that community. If he scatters himself about the community or in other people's or if other people live in the community, he will be scattering his power and dividing it up with other people. If there are 10,000 Negroes in a town, they should live close to each other. If there are 500, 1,000, or 1 million in a town, they should have power of the numbers to do business, to appeal to the government, and to voice their rights as citizens. We'll put a pin in it. We'll come back to it, but it seems like the way it's described, they're two different things. Any questions, comments before we move forward? Okay. What is objective number 6? We just read it.
To assist in the development of independent Negro nations and communities.
Yes. To assist in the development of independent Negro nations and communities. And we understand what that means. Well, I just read it, so I'm not going. What's number 7?
To establish commissionaries or agencies in the principal countries and cities of the world for the representation and protection of all Negroes, irrespective of nationality.
Do we know what that means in layman's terms?
It says that this means that there must be someone in every city whose business it will be to look after the interests of the Negroes who may come into that city or that country.
Yes. It's representatives. Representatives, I think, is the best way of saying it. But our populations should have individuals or a group of individuals that they can communicate to, express their concerns to, and that group of individuals should be able to escalate those concerns to a higher body, higher council, so we can have those addressed as a people. So the division presidents kind of hold these roles as of right now. With our monthly president's call, we discuss what's going on, issues, concerns, and things in our community based upon what our membership shares. That's number 7. What is number 8? Objective number 8.
To promote a conscientious spiritual worship amongst the native tribes of Africa.
Yes, conscientious spiritual worship. So when we talk about one God, I think this aim addresses that best. But we want to promote a conscientious spiritual worship. I would expand that beyond just Africa and all of our people. But as Garvey says in the text, and that's what we're learning, and that's what you'll be graded on, use his words. What is objective number 9? Conscientious spiritual worship. What else we need?
To establish universities, colleges, academies, and schools for the racial education and culture of the people.
Absolutely. As Brother Art said in the beginning, and as we should know, the course of African philosophy addresses aim and objective number 9. We should be creating schools and institutions for the racial education of our people. So, yeah, I don't know how to say it any better. Per my understanding, yeah, man, schools are going to be different in different states. So you're going to have different lessons and different learnings. But we got to embrace all of that. Number 10, what is aim and objective number 10?
to conduct worldwide commercial and industrial intercourse for the good of the people.
Yes, sir. So for our business brothers and sisters, our economic brothers and sisters, Garvey directs us to have a global economy, you know, a black economy. Africa provides for the entire world. There's no need for Africa to be asking others for assistance, taking loan from others, especially other races. So we as Garveyites, we take on that responsibility to organize this network. And, you know, as Garvey was doing, purchase ships to be able to move goods and services from one place to another. But global economy, it is what it is. Any elaboration on that? Any questions? What's aim and objective number 11?
To work for better conditions in all Negro communities.
Pretty much. Yep. So, as I said before, anything not listed specifically, you know, we should do, you know, we should, you know, provide meals for children. That's not an aim and objective. Yes, it is, number 11. You know, provide sweaters for the elderly. Why isn't that an aim or objective? Yes, it is, number 11. So anything that's not listed specifically, number 11. And with these aims and objectives, I ask you as a class, do you see anything missing? Anything that needs to be added? And this is, yeah. This is my argument when it comes to a lot of our other organizations, especially the organizations that we make in modern time. Like we have these aims and objectives listed, and if you agree with these, I don't understand what individuals can create that don't address what's already been set forth. Everybody good?
Lazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's sometimes ego. You know, people want to have that title of owner and CEO or founder and all of that. Like, you know, that don't. Yeah, you got it. You got it. I'm more about generational, so it ain't about starting. It's about picking up where ancestors left off.
And he talks about it too. I just want to mention later on in the book as well.
What's that?
I said he talks about people like that more so later on in the book as well.
Yes. Even in the beginning, he talked about the importance of history. Like, you know, we can't do it all in one lifetime. We have to rely upon those that came before us. So that's how that's when we compete. When, you know, our competition with other races is really us trying to catch up, you know, to what others have been doing and what they broke our tradition through the institution of slavery. They broke down that tradition of passing things on from generation to generation. So we're starting from zero, and they got 400 years invested.
I think also while we focus on things to pass down to the children, we should also focus on the care of the elderly, because I don't think as a whole the elderly is treated well in this country. I think like back in Africa or back in the islands, you know, the elderly is pretty much with the family for as long as humanly possible, or even until some of them pass on. But here they kind of throw them in the nursing home, or they have them living off somewhere in deplorable condition. So I think better care for the elderly, because even sometimes the grandparents are there for the young grandchildren and pass down things to them and instill certain things in them. And I know some of them spoil them, but you know.
I got you. I agree with you.
I agree too, Sister Diane. That's a beautiful point, because even in certain motherland traditions, I know if the newborn baby, like if the grandparent is alive, the newborn baby is supposed to be with the grandparent for the first year of their lives. So in a lot of places, like I know I know a lot of people from Senegal, they look down on a lot of American traditions, like you said, going to the nursing home, stuff like that, because they make it known like we take care of our elderly. We love them. We don't do what y'all do here. We take care of ours. So absolutely, great point, Sister Dane.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wish Brother Orman, I might have to talk to Brother Orman. He said that he was going to be our elder coordinator, but haven't really heard much from him since election. So I'm going to have to talk to him about that. But we should have individuals that have accepted a position of leadership that can take on these responsibilities. But we just got to keep working. A couple more questions on lesson 3, and then we'll go through a reading for lesson 4 as quickly as we can. Where should the funds of the UNIA be directed, and who owns the funds? Where should the funds of the UNIA be directed?
To the organization.
The organization. What organization?
To the UNIA.
Yes. Who owns the funds of the UNIA?
The people.
The people? What people?
Sorry.
The Negro people.
Negro people, yes. The people of the UNIA. Let's see what the first one is. Directed in these channels, the funds of the UNIA. Directed in these channels. If somebody could figure out what I was trying to say there. The funds of the UNIA must be used for the race and only the race.
Sorry, President, still on the aims and objectives on the Constitution, if you were showing us something different.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all see lesson 3, aims and objects, question 1?
Yes.
Where should the funds of the UNIA be directed? So that answers the first question. I didn't put the answer to the second question. Second question is right after that. These funds belong to all right. These funds belong to no one individual or group of individuals. They are held in trust for the race. All profits must be made from investments in different companies that it controls, must immediately be used for the good and welfare of the Negro race at large. But yeah, no individual or group of individuals. They're held in trust for the race. Questions, comments? Who should own the funds and property of the UNIA?
It's be held in trust for the Negro for serving generations yet unborn.
Absolutely. The UNIA property will be held in trust for the Negro race. Its wealth will be held in trust for the Negro race in serving generations yet unborn. Let them know that their future generations may benefit from the gift they give today. This is not our funds. This really ain't even our government. We just holding on to it and keeping it in place until the next generation can take the reins. So there is no individual ownership in the UNIA. What must the culmination of all the efforts of the UNIA be? What must the culmination of all of our efforts be?
Into race pride. Black independent nationalism on the continent of Africa.
Absolutely. There you go. Negro independent nationalism on the continent of Africa. Everything must contribute to the final objective. So when we talk about one aim, you'll hear this again, but this is what when I think of one aim, this makes a lot of sense. As he said, the culmination of all the efforts of the UNIA must end in Negro independent nationalism on the continent of Africa. That is to say, everything must contribute toward the final objective of having a powerful nation for the Negro race. Negro nationalism is necessary. It is political power and control. So this is what we're working towards. Everyone should be clear on that. Any questions, comments? Okay, what is required for a nation to be free, and what is our only protection? What is required for a nation to be free? For a nation to be free?
To be free, we should never be satisfied to live under the government of other people.
No, the question should have been, what is required for a race to be free?
Oh.
Economic self-dependence.
Economic self-dependence.
No race is free until it has a strong nation of its own.
There we go. That's what Garvey says. That would include economy, I would assume, but we can't miss out military and those aspects. We have to be able to defend our nation. Has a nation of its own system of government, and its own order of society. What is our only protection?
Own. It is the only protection for your generation.
Yes, in your race.
A strong nation.
Yes, strong nation and government.
The own system of government.
Yes, nation and government, nation and or government. You get credit, but our only protection is to govern ourselves. So that's why, again, going back to other organizations and things like that, I don't see any solution outside of our own government, and anything else it just seems like a waste of time or a opportunity to better your situations in your oppressor's home. But when it comes to true freedom, we have to take that true responsibility to govern ourselves. And until we get to that point, we can stop talking about it. We could just talk about what kind of jobs we want. Strong nation of its own system of government, its own order of society. Only protection is to have your own government. What should we do while we are under alien governments? Good question. What should we do while we're under alien governments? I don't even know if I got the answer. I know the answer, but I don't know where it is.
Well, we shouldn't be satisfied to be under alien government.
Satisfied? Oh, I like that. I like that. Should not be,
because you'll always be at their mercy. And so we should visualize for ourselves and our children and generations unborn, our own king, emperor, president, own government officials, and administration who will look like you.
Yes, I'm with you. Let's see.
That's what you're looking for?
No.
Okay.
You got the second half for the most part.
Get the best out of them for the rights of citizenship.
Yep, you got it. Read the rest of, well, let me find it. It's on page 34. But Sister Diane, you're not wrong.
But
You
always
read
have
it very well.
But always have a view doing something to make it possible for your race to have a nation and a government of its own. Speak of this, dream of this, working increasingly for this, and never forget this. For this is the great task of the UNIA.
Yep. While you're under alien governments, get the best out of them as rights of citizenship, always having your view, doing something to make it possible for your own race to have a nation and governments of its own. Speak of this, dream of this, work unceasingly for this, and never forget this, for this is the great task of UNIA. Excellent, Brother Art, absolutely correct. Questions, comments? All right. Number 6, will conditions be better for the Negro race if another race gains global power? If the Chinese gain global power, or the Indians or the Japanese gain global power, will things be better for the Negro race?
No, all the other races will use us just the same.
Yep.
As slaves and underdogs.
Yes,
so, for our only protection is to have our own government, and we shouldn't encourage Negroes to join Japanese, Chinese, Indian, or any other government with the hopes of getting greater freedom, because we'll never get it.
Absolutely. I feel like we could close up, and go home. You did such a great job, Sister Diane. But yes, that's why the questions are the way they are. We see that Garvey says our only protection is our own government, and then he elaborates, just in case you're thinking about it, if somebody else came into power, things will be better for you. No, it won't. The only protection, the only hope that you have is to build your own government. End of story. Either we do it, like I said, or what Garvey really said, if we can't do it, what other races have done, what other men have done, then we as a race, we really need to die. We just go ahead, lay down, and let everybody have it, because we're not living up to
our potential.
Yeah, and what our ancestors prayed for, like that's why we're here, is because others that came before us prayed to have redemption and their wrongs righted in the future, to have their place of dignity restored. So if we're not gonna do that, we're wasting our time. But what is the highest expression of independence? We talking independence. We got brothers that love independence. I'm independent. What is the highest expression of independence? I can't even find the answer, but I got it in here somewhere.
Pride in your
Said pride.
I was gonna say pride in your own independent expression.
Have pride in yourself and your honor. I'm really struggling on this, y'all. Well, we all struggling. Let's struggle together. The highest expression of independence is in sovereignty of a nation, page 36.
Yes. The flag of a nation is the emblem that signifies the existence of that nation.
All right, you need to slow down. You just that was the next question. What is the symbol? What is the emblem that signifies the existence of a nation?
Say it again, Sister Diane.
Right. But read the line before that paragraph. The sentence right before that paragraph is the previous answer. All right, y'all playing. She playing. She nervous. Okay.
What you said,
Is she nervous? Spotlight.
Yeah,
No, the highest expression,
There you go.
the sovereignty of a nation.
Yes. The highest expression of this independence is in the sovereignty of a nation. So that was the previous answer. And then the next question is the emblem that represents a nation.
The flag. Yeah. And yeah, your own flag. Be proud of it. It's the red, black, and green.
Yes.
Be proud of it.
Yes. Flag.
It is the emblem of your race.
Yes. Be proud of it. Emblem of your race. When other nations exhibit theirs, exhibit yours. So all of that to say, very important lesson, very important ending. But all that to say, if we really want freedom and independence, we need to have nation and government. And guess what? A nation and government has already been created for you. And it stands upon the aims and objects that you just read 10 minutes before that. So very concise chapter, very concise lesson. And as we progress through the course, again, keep in mind, what characteristics and how Garvey is working to develop us. But we had the foreword and the preface from Honorable Charles L. James and Dr. Tony Martin. We had lesson on intelligence, education, universal knowledge, and how to get it. Had a lesson on leadership, and we just finished lesson on aims and objects, which reinforces the importance of nation and government. Questions, comments? Okay. Lady President, will you be able to read for us? And we're going to be late tonight. If you can't make it, you can't stay. I understand. We had to do the review, so I need some extra time. Lady President, if you would, please.
Can I? I'm sorry, President. I'm sorry. Let
Busy?
Sister Diane, just a little bit.
I got it. Sister Diane's been doing a great job. I'm not gonna put.
Thank you, Sister Diane.
I can do it. I'll do it.
Oh.
No problem.
Okay,
all right.
Thank you.
You got it.
Are you putting it up? Oh, I thought we're doing, okay. Wait a second. Yeah, there it is. It's covered up a little bit on the, okay. Maybe if you, okay, so elocution means to speak out. That is to say, it's a little covered up. So I'll if you have a tale to tell, tell it and tell it well. The idea of speaking is to convey information to others. Therefore, you must speak so they might hear you. So yeah, you must speak with dignity, eloquence, clearness, and distinctiveness. You must speak to be understood in the language you speak. You must carry emphasis when you speak. To be a good elocutionist, you must embody in yourself clearness of thought, expression, and action. First, you must feel what you speak as you feel it, express it in like manner. If you feel the enthusiasm of a thing, express it with enthusiasm. Speech and truth should be should be just your feelings on all things. If you speak coldly or without emphasis, it is because you feel coldly and not move the action. Every man who is not tongue-tied by nature can speak. God gave him a voice for that purpose. Therefore, if you have anything to say it out loud so that others may hear you. In addressing a crowd of people in a small room, you must raise your voice to reach the person farthest away in the room. If you're addressing 100 people, you should raise your voice loud enough in expressing yourself so that the person sitting farthest away from you will hear every word distinctly and in like manner. If you have an audience of 1,000, 2,000, or 5,000, if you stand up on a platform in front of an audience of 1,000 and address them in the voice you would use for an audience 12 feet be between, it keeps cutting off some other word, 12 feet, the people 12 feet away from you will not hear you, and those furthest away from you will have to strain their ear to hear you, to understand you. They will become disgusted and walk out on you. When you have an audience, you must make an effort for everyone in the audience to hear you distinctly. You must pronounce your words correctly for them to understand what you say. You must not I lose my place. There's just now when you move.
You must not run your words.
Yeah, you must not run your words into each other. You must make your words clear and distinct. You must not rush your sentences, but speak in short sentences that carry clear thoughts so that everyone will be able to follow and understand what you say. The idea of listening is to hear when an audience doesn't hear every word of the speaker. The speaker has failed to make a complete impression upon his audience. Probably the very thought he would like to leave is not sufficiently distinct and clear to be heard. Therefore, the speech is in vain. Always speak in words that your audience understand. Never try to speak above your audience. Here, because it will be a waste of time. Nobody will understand you. The important thing is speaking to be understood. First, always think of what you're going to say before you say it. Otherwise, you'll be regarded as a fool for talking nonsense. In a speech, when you start a sentence, always complete it. Never speak in long sentences because people cannot remember long sentences. When you're delivering a speech, do so with emotion so that you feel what you are saying. Do not stand in one place like a mummy, because people will think you are planted there. Put action behind your feelings and move as your feeling directs. If you're honest in what you're saying, you will feel it and it will move you. Always be enthusiastic about your subject. The way to do that is to know it well. Make your hand, feet, and eyes give expression to your thought. Never express what is supposed to be an inspirational thought without first giving expression to that thought. You can do that by the movement of your body according to the response of your own enthusiasm. You must hypnotize your audience by expression. Stare into their eyes and firmly express yourself. You must not shy from their glare.
Shiver.
It's part of it is covered up. You must make them shiver from yours. In that way, you will subjugate them and make them do what you want. This is made possible by your honesty, a purpose and confidence in yourself. If you are telling a lie, you cannot subdue everyone or anybody who is looking straight at you, because they will see the lie in your eyes. If you have to tell a lie, don't look at anyone. Your eyes will betray you. Whenever you see a speaker look away from the crowd into the ceiling or at the walls, he is usually telling a lie. A person who is always facing his audience is never afraid of the truth. Speak forcefully always, particularly at the beginning, middle, and end of your speech. Start off in a low tone, then 5 minutes afterwards, raise your voice gradually until you have reached a convincing point in your speech. Then you may rest by lowering your tone to raise it again and get renewed interest. Continue the same way until you're about to reach the end. Then redouble your effort to win everybody over to you on what you are speaking about. This is called your climax. Always sit down with emphasis after you've made your speech, then rise again to do anything else. If you have more to do, don't let the people believe that all your effort were just to get a collection. If you lift the collection at the same time you make the speech, they will think so. Lift the collection immediately after the speech. If you made good speech before, up to the end, they will listen to you. They will listen to you even making a speech about the collection. If the speech was no good, you will have no good collection. To speak properly, you must have good sound teeth. You must have clean nostrils. Your lungs must be sound. You must have a healthy chest. Your stomach must not be overfull, and you must not be hungry. Never try to make speech on an empty stomach. You may faint and die before you finish. If you have a nasal obstruction, go to the doctor and have it corrected. If you are suffering from lung trouble, see a doctor. To be able to make speech for an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours, you must treat and train your constitution. Your chest is the most serious part, to be affected. If you don't have strong chest, you will feel exhausted in attempting to make a long speech. To prevent this, eat as many eggs as possible. You should eat eggs at least once a day. Not something, but not hard, but soft boiled or raw, if you can stand it. This will strengthen your chest, and after a time, it will become so hardened that you will speak 5 or 6 hours without feeling it. This must be done regularly And as long as you are going to indulge in public speaking, you must eat eggs. You should also develop the disposition to drink water and sip it at intervals if your throat becomes thirsty and dry. It is the most difficult thing to speak with a dry throat. All the straining you do will be of no effect because your words will be monotonous. There will be no harmony and rhythm. Soften your palate with water and bring back the music to your voice. You must never speak in a monotonous tone. Speaking is really music in another way. You must strike the different notes, play the different notes, and let the people hear the sound and the harmony. This is done by giving each word its proper something, sound, and emphasis. You must strike the right chord. For goodness sake, always speak out, always speak loud enough for others to hear you, unless you have something to hide. The desire is to be heard, and let them hear you. Most preachers fail because their congregations do not hear them, especially Anglican preachers. Negro Baptist preachers and AME preachers can raise more money than any other preachers because they talk loud enough to be heard and have more emotion in the expression than other preachers. This is a hint. Such preachers are always fat. Because they always have responsive congregation due to their ability to reach congregation in telling them what they want. If you want anything told, tell it and tell it well so that nobody will misunderstand. You must open your mouth and not be afraid of doing so unless you have only gums and are afraid of people seeing the nakedness of your mouth. Always try to avoid a cold because it is ruinous to any speaker. Whenever you catch one and have to speak, go to the drugstore immediately and secure some speaker's tablets to clear away the phlegm. It is good to use eucalyptus for inhaling to keep the nostrils clear so that you will have a perfect sound to your words. Don't chew your words. Talk them out plainly, otherwise no one will understand what you mean. Practice speaking to yourself in your room, in your own hall, drawing room, or in any place where you will not be disturbed. Go to the sea, beach, or the woods and talk to yourself or to nature to practice so that you will have command of your expressions and you become accustomed to speaking. Never be afraid of your audience. If you know your subject well, you have no cause to be afraid. Always know your subject. Never make a long speech after 10 o'clock at night because people will become restless and move away because it is near bedtime. If you are called upon to speak at 10 o'clock or after, take not more than 15 minutes. If you are to speak somewhere, see to it that you are not called later than 9:30. At a certain hour of the night, people are restless and tired and generally want to go home. They are never inclined to listen to speeches. Never apologize for any other speaker being better than you. Just rise to the occasion and try to beat the last man. Let the audience judge. If you can confess that any speaker is better than you, even though you are better, the audience may still give the credit to the other man because you said so by running down your own ability. Always see that your clothing is properly arranged before you get on a platform. Otherwise, people may see things to laugh at. Be careful not to make blunders in grammar because people may laugh loudly and expose you to others who are not thinking. You should not make any mistake in pronouncing your words because that always invite amusement for certain people. If they remember nothing else, they remember such mistakes and even talk about them and create prejudice against you for it. So be careful. When speaking, you should always try to hold the people's interest in the best way you know. You may give jokes that is relevant or logical in emphasizing your point. Never give vulgar jokes. To be a good speaker or elocutionist, it is to hold a grand prize among men. If you can speak better than others, you have a natural lead among them. Glory in this and strive after it. Remember, God gave you a mouth and a voice, and you must use them for good results. Secure from any bookseller a copy of good book on elocution and study it.
Thank you, Sister Diane. That completes lesson 4, elocution. You know, just the lesson should start to feel a little bit serious at this point. We have our foundation of intelligence, of leadership, of aims and objectives. And the next thing that Garvey focuses on is elocution, the ability to speak and to speak well. So very, very critical lesson among several critical lessons in this text. But the reason why this one is important for me is, this is like if you have a favorite artist, whether it be hip hop or R&B, and that individual is telling you how they write a song, how they put together a song, how they perform a song. Garvey is one of the greatest orators of modern time. And he is, he's taken his time to put together these pages specifically on elocution and helping us to become better speakers, especially better public speakers, for the purpose of representing our people, for the purpose of leadership. So as we're going out, professing to be leaders, professing to be representatives of our people, we have to know how to speak well and how to make those that we represent look well. So even our clothing, as Garvey said, being able to speak for an extended amount of time. So having that endurance, again, we talk about the mastery of language, the mastery of grammar, not making mistakes that would embarrass you. So very important, very critical lesson. But again, just in summary, we're getting into some of our responsibilities when we talk about leadership. Next lesson kind of grounds us a little bit on an eternity standpoint, and it gets a little bit more theoretical. But this lesson here, extremely practical. And again, this is from one of the greatest orators that we've ever known. Any questions, comments on lesson 4?
Great lesson.
Great lesson. Yes. No other comments, questions, concerns? Okay. All right. Review lesson 4 again this week. I'll send out the questions for lesson 4, hopefully Saturday, if not, hopefully Monday, if not Tuesday morning. But read the entire lesson and really try to be serious about what we feel is important that Garvey is trying to communicate in that lesson. And we'll have some questions next week. Anybody have anything in closing?
Don't forget your eggs in the mornings from now on.
Don't forget what?
Don't forget your eggs in the mornings from now on.
Right. Yeah. Garvey doesn't have a lot of, and that's a good point. Garvey doesn't have a lot of dietary advice from a dietary program. But yeah, he does mention eggs. Did he mention water in this lesson? Drinking water?
Yes.
Okay.
You did.
Just sip on the water to keep your mouth from being dry.
Right. From a dietary standpoint, that's kind of all Garvey really talks about. He will talk about, I don't know if he mentioned it here, purgatives, but cleansing cleansing your system once a week. But Garvey, pretty basic when it comes to dietary recommendations.
Smooth move.
Hmm.
The tea.
What you mean?
It's called smooth move. The tea. It's usually in the health
Oh,
section.
it's purgative.
Mm-hmm.
That's good that you know what.
It's a good tea. It's called smooth move.
It's good that you know what that means. Like I had to look that word up when I first heard it. But okay.
Keep your system clean and keep things moving smoothly. Because if people eat a lot of meat and stuff,
you break it up, sister.
It can back up your system. They say like a lot of meat and stuff can back up your system.
Sister Diane, you breaking up a little bit.
Oh, how is it
I
now?
think it's good on my end. I don't know, President. I think it's good on my end.
Oh, well, maybe it was mine.
Is it better?
Yes.
No, there a lot of like how people get colon cancer and stuff.
Yes.
Because their system gets backed up. So that's what he's saying. Keep your system clear so you don't get sick as often. And like if you're a meat eater and stuff, should clear your system out every week.
Yes.
And smooth move is a good tea.
Okay.
For doing that.
I'll check that out. But next week we will have a little brief, another recap. We will have to kind of recap every once in a while, just to make sure we are retaining the information. We're not just going through it. So next week, a brief recap on everything. Lessons from the foreword to lesson 4. We will talk about that, and then we'll do the reading for lesson 5. If there are not any other questions, then we can close out. Lady President, will you please close us out? And thank you everyone for your patience and giving us an extra 25 minutes. I appreciate that. Lady President, you have the floor.
Thank you, President. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Right, let's see. Red, black, and green flag. One God.
One God.
One aim.
One aim.
One aim.
One destiny.
One
destiny.
Africa.
Africa.
For the Africans.
For the Africans.
For the Africans.
Those at home.
And those abroad.
Those abroad.
Those abroad.
Family, good night. Thank you.
Race
Race
first.
first.
Race first.
Sisters, ain't we supposed to meet? Are we meeting this Saturday for membership? Was that this Saturday? We didn't meet last Saturday. Supposed to be follow up this week, right?
I believe so, yes. Are we-
Okay.
We're
Okay.
meeting this Saturday?
I believe so for to follow up on the membership. What needs to be done from a membership standpoint.
Okay. Okay, we can confirm times and everything.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk soon. Race first, family. And I think,
Okay, race first.
Lady
Peace
President,
and love.
Lady President, we meeting Thursday. I think we need to. Okay. All right. We'll talk.
Okay,
Race first.
okay.
family.
Race first. Have a good night.